One. You're live.
Good morning, Summa scholars. Welcome to the Daily Summa. Today is April 9th during Eastertide, and it's not morning because we still have our situation on Beaver Galleon going wild, but I did get my vehicle back today, so I think perhaps tomorrow we might be starting in the morning. We're looking forward to that, aren't we, Joe? Early mornings, no sleeping in.
I mean, I kind of am, and I'm kind of not. I like to sleep again. That was pretty awesome.
Very, 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 very necessary, too.
But Daily Summa at the end of my day takes up like twice as much time as Daily Summa is at the beginning of my day.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I'm driving you around all over the place.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. I'll be here in the morning, yeah? Are we going to the pottery? Let's do a business. Don't forget this is running. This thing is running. All right, guys, we're on question 16. We're going to try to make it a quick.
I have to think about it.
A quick page. Any news to report? I don't think so. Well, there's tons, but nothing that we can say on the camera. Let's just get to it. If I think of something, we'll go. Question 16, starting a new question.
There's going to be no words today. It's my bad.
No words today. It's his bad. The Pontius Pilate question 16. I made that up. That's not assuming.
That's really clever.
But you should start.
That was so clever. Good.
The Pontius Pilate question 16. Truth. Since knowledge of things that are true, after the consideration of the knowledge of God, we must inquire concerning truth. Since knowledge is of things that are true, we must consider of truth. About this, there are 8 points of inquiry. Number 1, whether truth resides in the thing or only in the intellect. 2, whether it resides only in the intellect composing and dividing. 3, on the comparison of the true to being. 4, on the comparison of the true to the good. 5, whether God is truth. 6, whether all things are true by one truth or by many. 7, on the eternity of truth. 8, on the unchangeableness of truth. Bam. Article 1, whether truth resides only in the intellect. Let's see what Larry's asking. Larry steps up on the Beaver Galleon on the deck.
It seems to me truth does reside in the
intellect. Well, let's see what Thomas has to say.
I think Larry's going to say that.
That's what Larry's going to say. Okay.
Yeah.
It seems that truth does not reside only in the intellect, but rather in things. For Augustine condemns this definition of truth. That is true, which is seen. Since it would follow that stones hidden in the bosom of the earth, my favorite bosom of the earth, would not be true stones as they are not seen, right? He also condemns the following. That is truth which is as it appears to the knower who is willing and able to know. For hence, it would follow that nothing would be true unless someone could know it. Therefore, he defines truth thus. That is true which is. That's pretty pithy. I mean, it's pretty terse. It seems then that truth resides in things and not in intellect. All right, we're going to zip through. Actually, we're not even going to get to the objection answers until tomorrow, but we will get to a big, fat, long respondio. Objection 2 from Ralph. Further, whatever is true by reason of truth. Thank you, Ralph. If then truth is only in the intellect, nothing will be true except insofar as it is understood. But this is the error of the ancient philosophers who said that whatever seems to be true is so. Ugh. The ancients. See, folks, that's what we keep saying here at the Daily Summa. None of this is new. None of this emoji show that you see going on in the world right now is new. Who said that whatever seems to be true is so. Consequently, mutual contradictories seem to be true as seen by different persons at the same time. Oh, Ralph the relativist. Oh, Ralph the... I mean, it's not the modern. I mean, as I said before, all the modern thing is just a larger dissemination of these ancient twistings and heresies and confusions. Objection 3. Further, that on account of which a thing is so is itself more so, as is evident from the philosopher. but it is from the fact that a thing is or is not, that our thought or word is true or false, as the philosopher teaches. Therefore, truth resides rather in things than in the intellect. Okay. All right. So we get to know truth through things. So they're wanting to say they're residing in the things. And let's see what Thomas says. On the contrary, the philosopher says the true and the false reside not in things, but in the intellect. That's the argument from authority. Let's move on to the philosophical argument, the logical argument from respondio. I answer that as the good denotes that towards which the appetite tends, so the true denotes that to which the intellect tends. Now, you may be able to see that this was actually a setup for Thomas to more clearly explain to you that you are intellect and will. From your will affects your intellect, and your intellect affects the will. As the old metaphor is the charioteer in the chariot. Your will is like the horses pulling you, and the charioteer guides them. If either of those is disturbed and confounded and impassioned, then the whole chariot will be out of kilter and not achieve its telos, its goal. Now, there is difference between the appetite and the intellect, or any knowledge whatsoever. That knowledge is according as the thing known is in the knower, whilst appetite is according as the desirer tends toward the thing desired. As Jesus said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Very interesting. He did not say out of the abundance of the intellect that the mouth speaketh. Out of the abundance of the heart. Your heart is what is kind of twisting your eye to see or to frame things in a certain way. That's why the heart has to be cleansed. And when the heart is cleansed, that is called the eye being cleansed. As Jesus said, if the eye is full of darkness, how great will that darkness be? Desert Fathers and the Philokalia talk about the way of tears in which the heart is cleansed and the spiritual eye is cleansed, so you can see reality properly. Thus, the term of the appetite, namely good, is the object desirable, and the term of the intellect, namely true, is the intellect itself. Your heart, your will desire goodness, just like your mouth, your tongue desires sweet, savory, and your belly desires food, water. So there's certain desires that are within you, and there's a correspondence in reality. And the correspondence of the intellect, what the intellect is craving, is truth. And what the will is craving is goodness. Now, as good exists in the thing so far as that thing is related to the appetite, and hence the aspect of goodness passes on from the desirable thing to the appetite, insofar as the appetite is called good if its object is good. So since the true is in the intellect, insofar as it is conformed to the object understood, the appetite of the true must needs pass the intellect up to the object understood, so that also the thing understood is said to be true insofar as it has some relation to the intellect. Your intellect conforms itself to being. Evil is the absence of being. So your intellect is going to conform itself to that which is true, and then it will be understood as the object. The object will be properly understood, and then you can call it true. Or what is the philosophical term? Reality is the truth is the adequation of the mind to reality. I mean, at the simplest level, I say this phone is here because the phone, the light from the sun hits the phone, goes to my rods and cones, goes to the brain, then it informs my soul that there is this species that we call phone here. And since this phone is here, that is called truth. The most famous one nowadays, if you look at a man and say woman, that's not corresponding to reality. That's why Satan wants to disrupt Keter and Malchus, wants to interrupt and divorce the intellect and truth from the visible world. And so that's why you want, and that goes back to that parable I gave early on about the king with the wicked advisor who gets cast out, and then he starts trying to deface the road signs to keep people from coming to the king's castle, to receive all their goodness and their sweetmeats and their benefits and their joy. And then when he realizes that he can't deface the signs anymore because the angels are set about the signs to protect it, or the knights of the kingdom are set about, then he goes about entering into the highways and byways and towns and putting on little plays and medicine shows and puppet shows or marionette shows. And through this, convinces everybody that stop means go and up means down. He puts it in the plays and in the poems and stories. He starts changing and perverting words so that the people's intellect no longer corresponds to reality. That's the whole game plan of the diabolic, to divorce cater the intellect from will, and do that through a divorcing of your intellect from the truth of the outside world, or what is called reality. Now, a thing understood by now, even a modern person watching what I just said, they're probably not going to be able to follow the logic. So they're just going to hear that last phrase, corresponding with reality. And then they're just going to immediately disregard everything that's been said and go, well, what is reality? It's according to what you say. They're so taught by the evil one that the logic cannot even be followed to see that there's a correspondence between the outside world. That's how science works. If you break that down, that's why science no longer works, because you can doubt whatever your instruments are telling you and you can't come up with good science. That's why all the atheistic scientists are now teaming up with the theists against the woke people, because the atheists could abide a lot of things. Want to be homosexual? Fine. Want to have abortion? Fine. Blah, 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 blah. Not realizing how that also doesn't correspond to reality. But nevertheless, once everything became so overt that even the atheists could see that there was a break with scientific correspondence of intellect to the instruments, or the readings of the instruments in the outside world, once that break was very, very, very clear, then they're like, whoa, we've gone too far. Everything's gone haywire. And now they're teaming up with theists. Exactly why. Reality is the adequation of the mind. Truth is the adequation of the mind to what is really in the material world, or malchus. Now, a thing understood may be in religion. A thing understood may be in relation to an intellect, either essentially or accidentally. It is related essentially to an intellect on which it depends as regards its essence, but accidentally to an intellect by which it is knowable. Even as we may say that a house is related essentially to the intellect of the architect, but accidentally to the intellect upon which it does not depend. If I create a design for a house or a statue, Michelangelo, David, Michelangelo looks at the statue of David and he's seeing and corresponding to reality, just like all the people in the museum looking at it. But he also has another relation to it. He conceived of it, and it came out of him, and it was in him first, and he moved it out into the world. So he has that not just accidental, but he has essential correspondence to reality in his intellect. Now, we do not judge a thing by what is in it accidentally, but by what is in it essentially. Hence, everything is said to be true absolutely, insofar as it is related to the intellect from which it depends. And thus it is that artificial things are said to be true as being related to our intellect. For a house is said to be true that expresses the likeness of the form of the architect's mind. And words are said to be true so far as they are the signs of truth in the intellect. You know inside of yourself that you like a girl. Do you speak that truthfully, no matter what the consequences? Or do you start using, what's the word that Elias used? P word. Pretense. Yeah, pretense, game playing. In the same way, natural things are said to be true insofar as they express the likeness of the species that are in the divine mind. For a stone is called true, which possesses the proper nature proper to a stone. It's not styrofoam, it's a true stone. According to the preconception of the divine intellect, because the divine intellect is the one who has the idea of stone in his intellect. He created it. Thus, then, truth resides primarily in the intellect and secondarily in things, according as they are related to the intellect as their principle. So, is the house truly representing what the architect had in mind? Is David truly representing what Michelangelo had in mind? So that's two types of ways in which truth is. It's residing in the intellect of Michelangelo. He has an image of David. Then he casts it out into the world. And is it truly representing what his original idea is? That's one thing. Thus, then, truth resides primarily in the intellect of Michelangelo, and secondarily in things according as they relate to the intellect as principle. So, if someone comes in and starts defacing King David's statue, breaks off an arm, spray paints it, puts a Joker face on it from Batman, now it's no longer truly corresponding to Michelangelo's conception. Two types of truth. One is in the thing, according to the principle of how it represents the intellect, but the other is in the intellect of the conceiver. And also, there's going to be truth corresponding to the other people who are observing it, different from the creator. It's just a bunch of different ways to look at how we as humans interact with truth. Consequently, there are various definitions of truth. Augustine says, truth is that whereby is made manifest that which is. And Hilary says that truth makes being clear and evident. Truth corresponds with being. Evil is non-being. Untruth is lack of being. And this pertains to truth according as it is in the intellect. As to the truth of things insofar as they are related to the intellect, we have Augustine's definition. Truth is a supreme likeness without any unlikeness to a principle. Interesting. I mean, I guess that's necessary. A supreme likeness. I'm wondering why you had to go both directions. Why you had to say supreme likeness and also say without any unlikeness. But I suppose it's because the word supreme is not strong enough. There's wiggle room in it from lawyers. He's wanting to get out of the lawyers' wiggle room. The truth is a supreme likeness without any unlikeness. Bam. Completely explaining the teaching. Also, Anselm's definition, truth is rightness, perceptible by the mind alone. Only a mind can perceive truth. If a truth falls into the universe and there's no intellect to see it, is there truth? There's always intellect to see it from God's perspective. For that is right which is in accordance with the principle. Also, Avicenna's definition, the truth of each thing is a property of the essence which is immutably attached to it. The definition that truth is the equation of thought and thing is applicable to it under either aspect. Truth is the equation of thought and thing, or the adequation of mind to reality, the things that are in reality. We hit the Turning of the Page was sponsored by craigkinsey.locals.com. If you're just joining us on this Beaver Galleon, we're sailing the high seas looking for a port. And as we do it, we are studying one page of the Summa every day. That's why it's called Daily Summa. And you can go to craigkinsey.locals.
That's why we called it Daily Summa?
Huh?
That's why we called it Daily Summa?
Because it's every day. Except for the days that we don't do it. See? That's called exceptions. I know a philosopher, rabbi, who doesn't like that term, exceptions prove the rule.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they don't. But anyway, that's argument for another day. Everybody, this is all straw. Go pray, go meditate, go sit in silence. Praise be to God. Amen. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We're done. That's it.
We'll be in a second.